Hello, I am Bentham and welcome back to Factorio, and today we're going to do some work on our supply, something that we haven't done in a while. First of all, I do a little bit of checking on the production lines, the oil and the modules, the two important things right now. At the moment we're a bit fiddly with the oil because we've put down the last oil drill on the main thing, and we're gonna have to expand somewhere off to the side soon. But anyway, what I do to start with today is wander on down to the south wall because there's been an attack near the end of the last episode, and I'm going to wander out and find out where it came from. So, wandering into the forest, I find a little outpost here that I easily take out, and then after forcing my way through the forest I spot a couple more, and I see there's quite a cluster of bases here, so I'll go charging in, take out one of them, and then suddenly they're everywhere, and I start to panic, and I'm running out of shield, and the battery's out, and then suddenly they attack from behind as well, and I managed to kill them just before my shield ran out, and I got killed. And I sort of shotgun my way through the forest and get the hell back behind the wall, set up some extra guns. They can attack that as much as they want. I'm not dealing with them right now. So I go over to the copper outpost, and I see we have a problem. The chests are being emptied when the train arrives, which means that the copper supply, well, the copper demand is not being met back home. So it's time to add some new mining drills, because it's likely that it's obvious that the cause of the problem is the lack of mining drills. They're all running out one by one, and it was only a matter of time before we started to have a problem. This sort of problem is probably originates a lot earlier than now, because the chests at the base will need to run down, and then the chests in the train, and then the chests at home will, and so on and so forth. So I'm hooking all this stuff up. I've got drills covering the whole of this particular deposit now, getting effectivity modules into everything, and then of course getting the power lines connected. You can see we've got some science done there. That's Combat Robotics 3, which will give us destroyer drones, the final level of combat drones. Anyway, I have to make a couple of modifications to the conveyor belts to make sure that everything's flowing through fast enough, because of course the focus of where things are coming from is changing all the time, and so you have to tweak things to make sure that works. And after having a quick inspection, I can see that it's all flowing nicely now, which should help with keeping up the copper supply. So I make my way back home and go and see how it is on this end, and the chests have run out here, which is quite a disaster. So you can see that they all get filled up by the train, but then by the time the train comes back they've emptied again, and so there's times when the copper just stops flowing and all of the smelters turn off, and that's really bad because it means that production is taking a hit, and we don't want that to happen. So I get distracted for a minute sorting out some mining of stone, even though there's insane amounts of stone already there. I just like to get it all mined for whatever reason. And then I get assaulted by millions of drones, and while they do that I check the production line and find that suddenly the copper supply has gone to crap because of what's been happening, which means that we're going to have some major problems keeping up module production. Even though we're approaching a point where it's going to be finished, we're now only using effectivity modules, saying that I just set up a requester chest for level 1 speed modules so that they can be used to make the destroyer capsules. So this is the final tier of the 3-tier system that we've got there, and it will supply us with lots of lovely combat drones to help us in killing biters and so on, because as you saw at the beginning, we need that. So I'm looking at the module system, and we got a big problem because suddenly there's only electric circuits being produced because all of the copper cables being used up before it gets to advanced circuits. But then of course that system backs up and the cables all go through to advanced circuits, and it sort of oscillates like that, which is not good, and I'm not happy with it. Anyway, I've got some more of the level 2 effectivity modules to put into some more smelters, and then it's time to go deal with the copper problem. So you can see I have a quick inspection, and the copper ore runs out just before the train arrives, so maybe we don't need to increase it by that much. Only thing is, we're going to need to find our copper somewhere else, and here is the place. So we've got a nice outpost here. Well, we've got a nice deposit here on which we can build an outpost. A simple one, of course, because it is within the walls, so we don't need to do any walls or guns or anything. So all we need to do is set up the miners, set up the system for the ore to be delivered, and that'll be that. So at the moment I'm just setting up a little bit of mining operation, just 7 of them for now, and that should be absolutely fine. Because it looked to me like the system wasn't far off from sort of filling up again. so that there wouldn't be any problems. And at the moment we just need some copper being produced to test the system that I'm setting up. So I start putting in the system for loading onto the train. Of course, I'm doing this all in the wrong order, because really you should set up the train first so you know where you're loading into. And I realised this after finishing and put the tracks down to find that the positioning is wrong, and I have to move the whole system along one block, or meter, or whatever units it is, whatever you'd call it. So I start mass producing a bunch of track parts so that we can finish off this system. I plunk down a train, get some fuel in it, start working out where it's supposed to be positioned, and then I set up my train station to get all that working. And then I tell the train to go to the station so that I can work out the exact positioning that it's expected to be in. And I decide that I've messed it up there and have to shift it up a block as well. So once that's set up, I get back to putting the tracks together. So we've got this. We're going to do a loop as before. Pretty simple. It saves a lot of track. I've been asked why I'm not using a system with the train at either end. The reason is that it gives me a bit more room to do certain things. So like, it's easier to expand a train and add more cargo wagons onto the end if you don't already have an engine on both ends, and that's pretty much the only reason, honestly. I sort of like them to run continuously anyway. So I run back to base because I need to get some more supplies. I've run out of stone to make the tracks, and so I get assaulted by the drones as usual. That's the problem with the drones. Even though they're delivering you all these materials so you don't have to go to the chest yourself, it sometimes can actually take longer than if you just, or at least it feels like it takes longer than if you went yourself. But of course they give you the exact amounts, and it's quite convenient in that way, and they give you stuff that you might not realise you're low on. But it's just annoying to have to stand still while they deliver all the stuff, because otherwise they have to run around after you and it's annoying. Anyway, just a little inspection of the systems as usual, making sure everything's fine there, and I made a tweak to the oil cracking, and then we carry on extending the track up, and then as you can see we connect it to the other line. You may say, but Bentham, that's insane, there's going to be train crashes, everyone's going to die. Well, I've been doing a little bit of research on how to use the signals, so hopefully I'll be able to do a tutorial on them soon. And so I try setting some up and to see if I can get the system to work. Now, I'm still not fully versed on how it works exactly, but I've done a couple of tests and things and got things to work. So if it doesn't work right now, then I should easily be able to fix it. Now, so I've set up the train, and of course it's got a 30-second wait time as is standard, and it moves up to the signal, and then the other train says it has no path. So now I have to work out how to fix this thing. So I try setting up signals in different places, being very careful not to do anything that might result in trains barreling into each other for whatever reason. So I've got moving them around, trying to work out what it is, because they are a very fiddly thing to work out. You need to sort of think like you need to think in a certain way to understand it properly. And for a while I wasn't thinking in the right way, and eventually after a bit more thinking I suddenly realised the solution, so I stick one along there, and then that train moves off and the other train can move in to be unloaded, though of course at the moment it has no copper ore in it because I haven't hooked the power up. And then that one gets no path, so I set one up there and then off it goes. So we finally got it working, and you can see that now the trains are going to keep sort of alternating. That one goes off and the other one comes back, though at the moment the timings are wrong on the new train I've set up. It's on 30 seconds at each stop rather than 15, which is what the other one is at. Of course you want them to be synchronized so that they both arrive at the same, well, they sort of, one arrives and leaves and the other arrives and leaves. So after hooking up the power I go back and change the times on the train, so it should all work fine now. Finish on hooking up the power and everything, get all those all the mining drills running, and then once the train comes back it can get loaded, and I realise I've screwed up the positioning, and when I'd moved it up one block that was actually wrong and I shouldn't have, so I have to do some messing around and move it down again, which is annoying. So I guess I should not be so hasty in my decisions about where the train loading thing is, because it can be deceptive. It's sort of, at the end of the day, that everything looks 3D in this game, but it isn't, so you can get a bit confused in that way, and the train the cargo wagons can look particularly weird in that way. But anyway, it's working now, and you can see that the trains were alternating, and that's all lovely. So now I've managed to actually set up a station that services multiple trains, which is something I've not actually done before. I've done the testing, but not actually properly implemented the whole thing, and now I've got a system that uses it and makes good use of it. So anyway, I put some more effectivity modules into the iron furnaces there. Now all of the furnaces along that in the new smelting area that I built, though it's like it's half a dozen episodes old at this point, or maybe more even, all of the ones there are now fully efficient. But anyway, going back to the oil system, we've now got to the point where we need to add in some new pump jacks, and of course we've now used up all of the deposits on that were in the sort of main drilling area we've been using. Conveniently, there is one right next to the area, just another deposit, so I can set up there. Also, I've just set it up so that the destroyer drones will be delivered to me by the logistics robots, so that's pretty awesome. And I can start using those soon in battle. They're being created quite quickly, so we should be able to make good use of them and be able to employ them quite often. So slowly but surely I get all of the pump jacks crafted, get a bunch of pipes ready, hook it all up. Well, not build a bunch of pipes and hook them all up, as I was saying the whole time. And then get some underground pipes, which also take an age because they're made of 1,000,000 of the normal pipes. And get that hooked up, and then all we need to do is get some effectivity modules into it and then hook the power up. So running over to the production, I find that there's 7, so I just wait for another one to be produced so that we have an even number. And then once that is done, I can pick them up and go over to the new pump jacks and get them all in. Of course, 2 of them at the moment are going to have to use the level 1 ones because they don't have enough level 2s right now, but that should be fine, and I'll change it up soon enough. At the end of the day, it's all it's small amounts of power, but eventually they add up to a big change. So now that that's all going, the oil supply should be excellent for multiple episodes now, and we can focus our efforts on other things. Well, we'll still have to make sure that the different oil fractions are in good ratios and so on. So anyway, I do a little bit of scouting and then start building some radars and solar panels because it's time to make some new radar stations. So of course, the moment I start crafting the solar panels, the drones go absolutely crazy, and they can never quite keep up with my usage of circuits when I'm making solar panels. So I have to go and grab them myself, which is a weird thing considering that's the only time I've done that this episode pretty much, except for effectivity modules. Though I really should set up a logistics thing for that now, because I can do it. I've got the chest in place in case I wanted to do it. But anyway, I've wandered out towards the south wall to find the location to put a new radar station. So I plonk that down, get the solar panels ready, get that all down, and then make my way on. And I'm going to put a line to the south of the current line that I have, but it looks like I'm going to have to go outside of the wall for that. So I forge my way through the forest and pay for that by having to repair my car. But then night starts falling, so I have to rush over and quickly build this this radar station before it's too dark for the solar panels feeding the other radars to operate, so that I can still work out where where I'm supposed to position them to keep the nice grid pattern that I've got. This one I managed to work out just from the positioning of others, because it's on a corner of 2 others, so that's all fine, and I can do that in the night. And then I sort of screw up with the car thing and accidentally reverse and step out and then repair it while it's moving, so that was a bit weird. So I make my way over to the other side, and there's a biter base to deal with. So I run in and blow the hell out I don't know what I was trying to say there. I just started sort of swearing a lot. But anyway, put down another radar station, get that all sorted. But unfortunately, I wasn't paying attention, and I've done it in the wrong position. And I really wasn't paying attention because I then put it in a similarly wrong position, thinking that misunderstanding how I'd got it wrong in the first place. Eventually I work out I'm supposed to be on this little spit of land over here, putting the radar down to get it to work. So then I get the electric pole down and try and work out how to fit the 5 solar panels around it. More just sort of a challenge than anything else, because I could just use multiple, but I'd rather not. In the end I used one of the larger ones, and it turns out I didn't need to, but whatever, I don't care. So I forge my way through some trees again, have to do more repair work. And eventually I make it back inside the walls and back over to base, though not before running out of fuel and sort of rolling around for a bit. So I get it parked and let the drones deal with the wreckage that I've left that car in, and get back up into the base to do more work. Though of course we're coming to the end now, so I wander over to the coal and get that all sorted. One of them actually run out of coal there, I'm not sure why, but I fixed that and destroy the ones that have finished their work. And make my way back to the middle. So, now I shall say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.